In this nugget, we are going to learn how to write an article. This is the form of the text. It's really important that you plan your answer before you start writing anything. To plan your answer, first consider the audience, purpose, and main points of your article. So what do we mean by the audience? The audience is who you are writing for. The intended audience will obviously vary depending on your topic or what you are writing about, and this will affect your style of writing. What do we mean by the purpose? The purpose of the article is what you are trying to do, so you might be attempting to persuade your audience of a particular argument. And what are the main points? Well, once you consider the audience and the purpose, you can brainstorm the main or key ideas that will form your article. It's really important that you plan in order to have a clear structure and write in an organized and clear way. So we're going to consider the purpose of an article in more detail. It can have a wide range of different purposes, including informing or persuading. We'll start with informing. Some articles are intended to inform people about current events, so the things that are in the news. They usually report the facts about the news in an unemotional way, and this is what makes it informative rather than persuasive. However, the purpose of the article might be to persuade. Some articles are much more emotional in the way that they report on current affairs, so the writer might offer their own opinion or viewpoints on events. Some articles are written to be more entertaining than informative. They can also be informative and entertaining. Entertaining pieces might be an opinion piece on an interesting topic, or still about current affairs. Newspapers usually fall into one of two categories: tabloids and broadsheets. So what's a tabloid? A tabloid newspaper reports sensational stories, and sensational means to create excitement and interest. The Sun and the Mirror are examples of tabloids. What's a broadsheet? Broadsheet newspapers are generally considered to be more serious and formal than tabloids. The Telegraph and the Guardian are examples of broadsheets. Newspapers are increasingly published online. There is some content which is exclusively online. This means you can only find it online. Sometimes you can find it in print, i.e. in a tabloid or a broadsheet, and online. One example is the BBC publishes news articles that are exclusively online. We're going to look at how to lay out a newspaper article. You don't need to read this article in full, and in fact, this is just the first section. It's incomplete. So, an article should have a headline, which in this case is "Say Goodbye to Britain." It should also have a subheadline, which in this case is "We need to take this heatwave more seriously." News articles usually have short paragraphs, as we can see in this example. So, what's a headline? A headline is the title of your article. It should be brief and catchy. It should draw attention to the key ideas that you will discuss. The main purpose of a headline is to tell the reader what you will discuss and possibly include your key argument. It should be interesting and engaging. So let's look at an example. Waging war? Peace is more powerful. This article uses alliteration. We can see that the W and the P sounds are repeated, which adds emphasis to keywords in the headline. This article uses a rhetorical question. The rhetorical question is used to establish the topic of the article about war and peace. This article states an opinion, and it is stated from the beginning in the headline. The headline states that peace is more powerful, and this is their opinion. It tells the reader what to expect and what the argument will be in the article. So what is a subheadline? A subheadline is a sentence which explains the headline in more detail. The headline was, "Say goodbye to Britain." It was catchy, but it didn't give you much idea of what the article would be about. The subheadline, "We need to take this heatwave more seriously," is therefore necessary to give you more detail about the content of the article. In an article, you will generally use an introduction to outline the general ideas in the article. There are many ways you can write an introduction. You could state your opinion on the topic. You could start with an interesting fact or statistic. You could start by posing a problem, which your article will then attempt to solve. Sometimes it's really interesting to begin with an anecdote, a short, personal, true story, which could be funny or could be serious. Here's an example of starting an article with an opinion. War is never justified. This clearly states the argument of the article. Here's an example of starting an article with an anecdote. I remember watching a bully in the playground when I was a child. This introduces the idea of injustice, which the author can then relate to their argument about war. You can start with a problem. Is it ever acceptable to wage a war? This sets out the problem that the article can then deal with. You could start with a fact. 50 million people died in World War II. This immediately engages the reader with a shocking fact. The main body of your article is where you develop your key arguments. You can link your ideas using connectives such as additionally or however. It is good to consider multiple opinions in an article, but read the question carefully. In an exam, you might be specifically asked to argue for or against. When you are writing the main body of your article, you can vary the lengths of your paragraph. Different lengths of paragraphs can lend emphasis to different ideas and help to make your argument persuasive. Let's look at an example. Some people think that some good can come from war. They argue that in the long term it can help save people. They are wrong. This article sets out a contrasting opinion that the author disagrees with. We can see this by the sentence starter, "Some people think." The author then uses a short, one-sentence paragraph for dramatic effect. They are wrong. You can use subheadings to divide the main body of your article. A subheading is different to a subheadline. A subheading is a short title that you give to a particular section of the article, and you can use them throughout an article, whereas a subheadline would come once under the headline. Subheadings should be short and engaging. They should summarize the main point of a section, but try not to give too much away. Let's look at some examples of subheadings. Blinded by war, might is not right, let's make a peaceful future. These subheadings offer short and catchy overviews of the different sections of the article. They can help the reader skim read important points in the article. It can be really useful if the article you get in the exam has subheadings. Finally, you will want to end your article with a conclusion. This is where you end your arguments and bring your article to a close. As with introductions, there are different ways that you can do this. Here's an example. In the end, we are all judged by history. History will show that peace is the only way forward. Peace is powerful. In the conclusion, you can summarize. You could sum up what you've been arguing in the article. Or you could give your opinion on the topic if you've not already done so. Or you could use the conclusion to ask a question or bring up a new idea. In this conclusion, we can see that the article has come full circle back to the headline, ending with the phrase, "Peace is powerful," which was used in the headline. Let's summarise what we have learned about writing articles. You need to plan, and so you should consider the audience, purpose, and main points of your article before you begin writing. It is a good idea to make a headline short and catchy. You should develop your arguments in the main body, try to link your ideas with connectives, and try to use varied sentence structures and paragraph structures. Within the main body of the text, you can use subheadings to divide up the main sections. You must conclude your article in some way. You could summarise the ideas you have discussed, state your opinion, or pose a new question entirely. Remember to plan your response. Consider the audience, purpose, and then plan the main points of your article.
If you enjoyed this video, make sure you give it a like, and if you have any questions, leave a comment below. Subscribe to our channel to check out more of Century's content, and visit our website to find out about our learning platform.